Open. Close. Certainly do appreciate everyone coming out for this special day that we're honoring all of our veterans of the United Association, especially the ones that Local Union 91. We talked about this a few months back. One name came to mind. It was a good friend of ours, has always been a friend of ours, Judge Tom King. I knew that he was a general, and when I went over, I was going to ask him if he would do it, and he said, "Son, I've been retired 10 years." And so, but he made all of this happen today. He got our special guest here. So I'm going to let Judge King come up and introduce our guest and say a few words. And again, thank you, Judge, for everything you do.
Let me tell you about that honor guard. They're from the Air Guard. And I served in the Army Guard, as did General Smith. But General Smith is over the Army and the Air Guard as the Adjutant General. And General Harrell is the director of the Joint Staff at Joint Force Headquarters in Montgomery. And he coordinates all of the actions of the state's Army and Air Staffs to accomplish the Adjutant General's objectives for the Alabama National Guard. Probably 12 years ago, General Smith and I and General Ron Stokes, who was the Major General we reported to, we had a meeting. Where does our future lie? When we're gone, where does our future lie? And we came up with about 5 names. And at the top of that list was Colonel Alan Harrell. Colonel Harrell has gone on to do just great things throughout his career. He's on active duty as we speak. While I was still in uniform, served as the Deputy Commander of Task Force Intabuca, Joint Task Force Bravo in Honduras. He commanded the 122nd Corps Support Group in Selma, which I had the privilege to command from 95 to 97. And he took the 122nd to war in Iraq. He was the acting J4 of the United States Northern Command in Peterson Air Force Base, Colorado, and served in that capacity under the auspices of Homeland Security and the defense of our nation against the global war on terrorism. He also served as Deputy Commander of the 167th Theater Sustainment Command, where he was responsible for coordinating logistic support to active duty and reserve component joint forces in the Northern Command's area of operations. He's a graduate of the University of Alabama. 1980, received a Master's of Business Administration from Emory University. As a 2002 graduate of the Army War College at Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, where he received a Master of Science Strategic Studies. He has been awarded the Legion of Merit, which is the fourth highest medal our country renders, and also the Bronze Star, and he has other awards too numerous to mention. I will point out a few. He has the Army Reserve Component Overseas Training Ribbon with 5 numerals, which means that he has 6 of these Reserve Component Overseas Training ribbons. He wears the Ranger tag and the Merit Parachutist badge, and he is here in behalf of the Adjutant General of the state of Alabama to represent the United States Armed Forces, to honor these great veterans who are with us here today. It is my great pleasure and distinct privilege to introduce to you Brigadier General Alan Harrell.
Thank you for allowing me to come be with you today. I want to spend a little bit of time thanking veterans and talking about what it means to be a veteran. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about the Alabama National Guard and the things that we're doing today. You are members of an elite brotherhood of warriors who have dared to defend America against foreign enemies. You're special people. Not everybody's willing to pick up their rifle, or these days pick up their laptop computer, jump on their truck or their helicopter or their supersonic transport and charge off to a combat zone. But you were. Not everybody's willing to do that. I believe military service, however you got there, is a calling. People are called to all walks of life. Some people are called to multiple walks of life. But the people, the veterans that I'm talking about, answered a call, which could have cost them their life. In my opinion, at least, there is no higher honor than to be associated with people like you veterans in this room here today. All veterans have given something of themselves to the country. Some have given all, laying down their lives to defend the freedoms that we hold so dear. Since 1776, it is the veteran who has underwritten our freedom through duty, honor, and selfless service. Selfless service is something too few people understand these days. We must never forget that we cannot rightfully celebrate the joy of our freedom without remembering the great price that has been paid for that freedom. It is the veteran who put aside his personal ambitions and dreams to assure the well-being of our great nation. We in uniform today are indeed the beneficiaries of those of you who made such tremendous sacrifices in several wars overseas for the advancement and surety of our liberty. May we always be grateful to all brave American patriots of any and all wars who suffered and sacrificed for the freedom of all Americans. For those soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen who have stood guard in peacetime, and to those who have seen the terror, the horror, and the inhumanity of combat, and to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice, let it be said that they have always been there for America, defending the Constitution of the United States. It's the veterans, regardless of the service they belong to and the era in which they have served, that have paid the price time and time again. They have defended America through both the best and the worst of times, and they have performed their duties tirelessly with little recognition or fanfare. They have sought neither fortune nor fame. It was merely a simple love of America and the freedoms we all cherish so much that motivated them to do so. Veterans understand the meaning of hardship, standing watch at freedom's frontier, far from their loved ones, standing guard in the chill of the night while others sleep. It is their devotion to duty that gives us all strength. Looking out at the world today, we see our personnel serving in over 100 countries throughout the world. And the legacy of our veterans continues to inspire our American servicemen and women today to answer the call to duty. I have always felt it was an honor to serve my country, and I know you do as well. It is the veteran who makes it possible for the endless procession of talking heads on television to go on endlessly about what we should or should not do when this country is threatened. It's the veteran that provides the safety and security that allows them to do so willingly, selflessly. It's the veteran who has made freedom and democracy possible in areas held captive by tyrannical regimes around the world. It's the veteran who's kept our friends and allies around the world safe from attack. Today we're threatened from many quarters, both at home, as we've seen recently in Boston, and abroad, as we continue to see in Afghanistan and North Korea. We don't know from where the next challenge may materialize, but we do know this: it will be those in uniform who are called upon to make the response. With past and current veterans lies the trust and the confidence of the American people and the hope of countless millions around the globe. What a glorious thing you veterans of past wars have done. During World War I, over 1.4 million American soldiers fought overseas in that war. 1/3 of them came back either wounded or not at all. When men fought in that war to end all wars, their service represented hope for a new relationship among nations, for a peace that has been subsequently threatened, defended, defeated, restored, and threatened again. Then almost a quarter of a century later, another global battleground spread into more than 50 countries. Some of you were there. Americans comprised 1/4 of the 62 million mobilized on the side of freedom in that war. Over 400,000 never came back. The veterans of World War II, along with the civilians whose support made victory possible, became known as the greatest generation, and for good reason. 5 years passed before the U.S. military was again summoned to the front lines, this time by newly established United Nations, to defend South Korea against its invading northern counterpart. When the troops finally returned, troops from Korea, neither ticker tape parades nor thank yous were waiting. The next generation of veterans came home from a conflict on the other side of the Pacific to an even greater conflict at home. That war was never actually declared by Congress. Its purpose and continuing enlargement converged with a changing culture in the United States. America's veterans, more than anyone, recognize the foundation of peaceful living. The U.S. Constitution guarantees protection of the law to its citizens. Those who wear this country's military uniform, who have sworn to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, are the guarantors of that protection. Not until the Persian Gulf War, in the 20th century's final decade, did wearers of military uniforms again feel the warmth of an appreciative welcome home. Now soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines are returning, this time from Afghanistan and Iraq, to their home front on American soil. They could be the great-great-grandchildren of those heroes of the 1940s. Many of them are. You're indeed veterans of foreign wars, years past, special people. And those of us who came along after you owe you a great deal. As the old saying goes, we stand on the shoulders of giants.